All right, welcome to the spoiler review of TRON Ares. This movie, again, I thought it was pretty good. If you're interested in the non-spoiler review, go click on the other video because you're in the wrong place. If you don't want to get spoiled, get the fuck out of here. I'll see you after you go watch the movie. I got a lot of stuff to say, and I'm pretty much going to spoil the whole damn thing. So you've been warned. I'm giving you like 10 seconds longer to get the fuck out this bitch. I will see you later. So, dude, this movie, pretty damn good. Had a fucking great time. Let's kind of go over it as things happen, right? So, Julian Dillinger, who I wonder what his relation to Edward Dillinger is, because Edward Dillinger is Cillian Murphy's character from the fucking first movie. Or, sorry, the second movie. Which was, I thought that was interesting. They probably just couldn't they couldn't get Cillian Murphy, bro. That guy's doing bigger movies. He just did Oppenheimer. And I really didn't expect him to be in this movie. A lot of the guys honestly couldn't get in this movie from the first one, which, I mean, shit happens. What can you do, right? Alan, no one from the original movie is here except for Jeff Bridges, which he kind of has to be. And Olivia Wilde, aka Cora, and Sam Flynn are only mentioned a couple times in this movie. In the beginning, they mentioned that Sam Flynn had stepped down as CEO due to personal reasons, which, I mean, from what I remember, I wasn't sure if they wanted to be in this movie or if they just couldn't be in it. I don't remember exactly the story there. Cora does make an appearance in this movie in a photo along with Sam Flynn, and it seems like Ares at the end of the movie is going to go try to find Cora. Which opens up, a sequel, right? Cool. Awesome. I thought that's great. It makes sense, right? Cool. What can you do? As for like the rest of the movie, I thought it was cool. There's some great action sequences in this movie, obviously. So Dillinger is meeting up with he's created a program called Ares. We kind of see him going to like these, fighting simulations, learning things. He's like a learning algorithm. He's kind of like, the modern day AI that we have nowadays. So what he's doing is he's training this fucking program to just be really smart, really like a combat expert, really strong, all this shit. And he's, we see him programming like version 2, patching him up, making him better, fixing flaws in him, essentially creating a perfect program or series of programs. And we kind of see him. He is the master control of the Dillinger system grid, right? Which is all red. We see this in the trailer. The Dillinger system is all red. And even the disc, his program disc, which is triangular, says Dillinger on it, Dillinger Systems, which is the rival company to Encom Systems. Now, he's referred to as the Master Control, obviously. The MCP was the Master Control program in the first movie, and, at the end of line, and shit like that, which was awesome. And it's cool because we get to see, like, the floating head gimmick again in this movie when the user is talking to the program through the console. And I thought that was really cool. It's a touch to the first movie. It makes sense. That's how the first movie was. And it was really interesting because Dillinger Systems grid is separate from the Encom Systems grid, which makes sense. They're separate servers, and they house different programs on both servers, right? They're split off from the internet, essentially. Now, they have access to the internet, but like those specific files and things are, like the grid is only contained in Dillinger's server, right? It's cut off from the other servers that are private as well. So, the whole thing in this movie is that Dillinger can only manifest these things into the real world for 29 minutes, and then they de-resolute and reform back in the grid. They go back to the grid. Dillinger is trying to figure out a way to extend this timer past 29 minutes because he's trying to create super soldiers and tanks and weapons that the arm, that put the company on top, right? The perfect soldiers that are expensible, right? Now Ares picks up on the fact that he is expensible, and he's kind of not sure what to make of that. He's a program that has learned feeling over time because he's been analyzing Eve Kim, who is the now CEO of Encom Systems, right? Now, she is off grid, literally, not just in the real world, but she's like in this remote area. Was it Antarctica? I fucking forgot where the fuck she was. And it's this old, like, computer lab, some snowy ass fucking place like that. And she's been there for the better part of 3 months and something days, right? She has not been present in her company. She's essentially disappeared, similar to how Kevin Flynn had disappeared from his company back in 1989, which is when it happened, after the first movie, right? Between the first movie and the second movie, he disappeared. And we know that as being he got stuck in the grid because the portal closed on him in Tron Legacy. So she is trying to find the key that her sister, who is now deceased, was trying to find. And by looking through all these old floppy disks that Kevin Flynn had, right? What they're looking for is something called the permanence code, which would allow the programs that they digitize into the real world using the laser, which is a big part of the first two movies, to essentially allow them to exist more than 29 minutes, right? Because Clue wanted to manifest himself in the real world and take it over because he hated imperfection. That was what Kevin Flynn said. And, the whole end game was, well, if he makes it out, we're fucked because he's going to kill everybody, right? Everything's imperfect about the real world. And his directive was to create the perfect system. So I guess little did we know that if Clue did make it out, he would die because he'd only have, X amount of minutes to be out there, right? Or maybe that wasn't the problem. Now, the real life reason for that is that just wasn't a thing back then, right? But now that it is, we have to make sense of it. People are probably wondering, like, does Korra disintegrate after 29 minutes? I think not, because she was not a program created. She was an ISO that manifested in the grid naturally, which she was like a brand new life form, right? And that was Jeff Bridges, Kevin Flynn's gift to the world that he had discovered in the grid. That was the key to everything, right, in his eyes. So she eventually does find that it was backed up on a really, really old floppy disk. And she's this other guy who's kind of a goofball. And she finds it, and she's like, holy shit, right? This is it right here. It was backed up on this old thing. He has it backed up on this old, computer system. And she has seen the code. She's looking at it, right? Meanwhile, Dillinger is having this sort of conflict with his mother because his mother feels like he's kind of veering too far into this obsession of trying to unleash this thing that he has been able to manifest into the real world without the ability to control it. And her concern is like, what does this mean for humanity? We're going to unleash this thing, and what if we can't control this? He doesn't really care. He wants to win the approval of the world and kind of win this coding race and take Encom out of there. He ends up hacking into Encom servers to see where Eve Kim is, because that's his rival. She's the rival CEO. He's the CEO of Dillinger, and she's the rival CEO of Encom. And he knows for a fact that if anyone else could find this thing, it's her. And that's probably what she's out there doing. He's not stupid. He's thinking about it, and he's like, that's probably where she is. She's probably somewhere trying to figure out this code, right? And so he ends up sending his programs, like Ares, Athena, who is another program, and, kind of like the SEAL Team 6 of his fucking, his programs into the MCOM server. He's typing into like the same kind of like console that Sam Flynn typed into, like the one with the touch screen and shit. And it was pretty cool because he's like programming them a directive. And it's also the same night that Encom is releasing a new video game. So there's having like this like E3 kind of press conference. It actually reminds me of TennoCon a little bit with Warframe in terms of the setup. It's not like a grand stage like Gamescom or the Game Awards are. It reminds me more of like something smaller, like a studio holding their own thing for their game. That's what it reminded me of. It was pretty fun. There's people holding like discs and lights and shit. It's cool. So while that's happening, these programs are breaking into the system, which we get to see. Encom's system is blue, unlike Dillinger's systems, which is red, right? And they have like this big like firewall we get to see, and they break into it. It's a pretty cool sequence, you know. Again, this is what I mean by this movie feels more like the first movie in terms of us getting to see the programs execute commands that the user's giving them. We're seeing the computer things being typed up, and we're seeing the programs do it inside of, you know, the computer world. And I think that's really fun, right? That's something I didn't really get to say enough of in the non-spoiler because I don't want to spoil the movie, but it was a good time, I gotta say, seeing all that stuff happen. Eventually, they're killing these guys. You know, they're destroying these programs and making it there, and they make it to this large data center. Right? It's kind of like this big light, not the same as the one that's the portal in the grid. It's kind of like this big pillar of like digital bits and stuff. It's pretty cool looking. So Ares walks up to it, and he's essentially looking through the file. Right, like all the data on the server, trying to find where Eve Kim is, the CEO, played by Greta Lee. So fucking what happens is once they broke through the firewall to get in there, before all this even happens, there's a guy in the security desk playing video games, and it's a very similar to the scene from the second movie where the fucking security guy was drinking coffee when Sam Flynn was breaking in to go, you know, release their new OS to like the world for free. Very similar stuff. He even drops the coffee on the floor the same way when he realizes that the security's been hacked, right? So in the real world, they're trying to kind of contain this security threat by sending programs to kind of contain this hack. So what happens is he ends up seeing bits and pieces of her life, right? Everything about her is kind of on this server, and he's looking through it, and he's kind of intrigued by her, right? Because he's like discovering, he's seeing the struggles. You know, her sister died, and you know he's kind of seeing that. He sees that she read Frankenstein, and the line that he really absorbs from Frankenstein, the book, is, "I am fearless, therefore I am powerful," right? And that, you know, was a really interesting scene. So afterwards, you know, he kind of stops sending data to Dillinger because Dillinger is watching this progress of him like looking at these files. And eventually, you know, he does just pull the file of her completely, and Dillinger downloads it, right? He's like, okay, I need to figure out where this is. And as they're trying to escape, there's like a shitload of blue programs trying to kill them and trying to take them out, right? And fucking this guy Cameron, what's this fucker's name? Monaghan, a.k.a. Fucking Cal Kestis from the fucking Jedi games. He's in this movie. He's one of the programs in there, which popped me. He doesn't have a major role, but I see him. We see his face. Fucking fun. You know, really good reaction from me. I put a smile on my face. And he kind of gets injured, right? Like his leg gets sliced off. He's still killing these dudes or whatever. And Ares goes back because he feels empathy, right? He starts developing human emotions through learning about humanity. You know, from being out there briefly, because you know they brought him out there to showcase the shareholders of Dillinger, but also looking at Kim's file, right? He's kind of intrigued by her. So that was interesting. You know, he goes back for him, tries to save him, and he does save him. but fucking Athena, who's one of his right hand, essentially Ares' right hand, is like, he's defective, we gotta leave him, we can't stay here. And Ares is like, fuck that, right? So what happens is people are trying to fly out of there, and Dillinger realizes that fuck, he's gonna get caught if they contain this fucking hack of his. They're gonna be able to determine the origins of the hack. So he drops a payload, kind of like malware. Not really. Was it malware? I'm not sure. He drops a payload, and we see this giant like red beam of light fall down and essentially like knock the server offline briefly. I don't know if it knocked it offline, but it killed all of them. The fucking red dudes, the guys, his programs that he sent over there. And Ares is like, damn, I'm really in it. Like, I think he realized after that, like, damn, this guy's willing to kill me to send me back to the grid. Because the whole gimmick is that they get reconstituted in the grid. In their grid, their origin system, which is the Dillinger system. So Ares is looking through the file, and this is when he really starts to see all of that stuff I mentioned before. He starts to see her life and, like, who she is and things like that, and ultimately does determine where she is located, because at this point in the story, she's already found that permanence code, and she's on her way back to NCOM to implement it into their system. Now, NCOM is trying to digitize, like, plans and shit like that in real life. Like, the way that they test if the permanence code worked was by kind of materializing this orange tree. Now, they had the 29-minute timer on, and it went well past 29 minutes. It was 4 hours and counting by the time Ares was able to see it. Because he's looking at like all the GPS and shit like that and trying to figure out where she came from to determine the point of origin. And determine that shit, this woman found the permanence code. So then what happens is Ares gets sent with Athena to go intercept them and try to take the code, which is stored on a drive, a big, hard drive. Not a hard drive. It's like a big flop, FOB. It's a fob. It's like a USB, right? And she puts in like this race jacket, and so she's riding a Ducati motorcycle, which is significant because Kevin Flynn had Ducati, so it's a callback to that. And she's driving through with Seth Flores, who's her right-hand guy that she was with, the goofball dude, kind of a nerdy guy. He's fun. He was driving an Audi Quattro, which was nice. It was souped up. I really like those. Big car guy. So she's driving through the city, and eventually they show up, right? They're kind of tailing her a little bit, and she eventually takes notice and tries to kind of escape them. And she ends up making some smart plays to kind of put some distance between her and Ares and Athena, because they're trying to corner her. And at one point, Athena follows her into this like parking garage. And while waiting for Athena to make it up, she sends the bike into her and makes her like fall all the way down to the bottom of the fucking parking garage. She survives, obviously, but her bike is totaled, so she's fucked. She's like, damn, I can't get out of here now. So she ends up having to like essentially not reprogram, but like figure out how to make the light cycle work so she can drive it away, because she doesn't have her bike anymore. And she eventually does get away that way. Very close. So she's now driving a light cycle, and Ares realizes that the person operating the light cycle is not Athena, right? She's unknown. So he's trying to go intercept this fucking motorcycle now. And he eventually does, and they're having like a little bit of a light cycle battle, and eventually both bikes crash. They kind of crash in like this alleyway with a bunch of dumpsters, and they're near a dock that looks very similar to the one that Sam Flynn was living in the second movie that had a view of NCOM Tower. Very similar. I don't think it was the same, but it was very similar to me. So eventually Ares is chasing her down to the end of the dock, and she realizes, fuck, I know what this guy's after. So she breaks the little hard drive in half, the USB, and tosses it in the water at the same time that a helicopter's pulling up. Because during the chase, they were like, well, we got plan B, because they realized Athena got taken out. She's not taken out. She just lost her bike. She was like, fuck, plan B is this. Take the particle ray or whatever the fuck it's called. So the particle beam is the laser that would send you to the grid. Now, that helicopter pulls up, and they're aiming this gun at her because they're thinking, fuck, if we can't bring her back to the loading bay, which is where Dillinger Systems is kind of like transferring stuff. They refer to it as transferring, right? Like, they're transferring things from the grid to the real world in, like, this facility. They're like, fuck, we're running out of time. These guys aren't going to be able to make it back with her. So we're going to have to, plan B is to take this laser and fucking send her to the grid. So they do successfully do that because Ares disintegrates and fucking, he realizes that Eve Kim is showing, like, empathy towards him. Like, holy shit, you're a program, you're about to fucking die out here, right? And she feels bad. She's like, holy shit. And they shoot the laser. She gets sent to the grid, to the Dillinger grid. And what happens is they're like, well, she's like, I don't have the permanence code. I lost it. I destroyed it, right? They're like, no, you didn't destroy it because you've seen it and we can extract it from you, right? You have it in you. Now, in doing so, if they were to extract the code, they would kill her, right? Which was cool. And I was like, well, yeah, it makes sense. Because I was thinking they're going to extract the DNA because her DNA, human DNA probably has some sort of code in it, right? Like genetic code that they could use. But because even when they saw the permanence code at the beginning of the movie, it looked like a double helix. So, dude, this whole sequence was cool. So what happens is Ares escapes with her and shit, which looked nice, and they're riding this light cycle like boat. Cool shit. Now, what I noticed was the master control program, which was Ares at this point in time, was triangular. Athena had like more like a hexagon, octagon kind of disc. And it was so crazy because later on in the movie when she gets turned into the master control program, because Ares goes rogue, she also obtains that triangular disc. Now, I think they're trying to make the discs mean different things, which I think is fine, right? Because, again, some of them were still circular discs. I also like the light staff that produces a little light trail. I was confused. I was like, how the hell are you going to use that as a weapon if the trailer stays there, right? That's kind of a dumb weapon. But it's not, because the trail disappeared. It's kind of just like creates a little mini path that they use to deflect discs and stuff like that. And they also can, later on in the movie, Ares actually uses it as like a stepping stool. He creates like a light trail and steps on it to like jump up in the air. It's pretty cool. The light jets make a return. Always cool to see. The tanks, not quite the same. They're more so like Humvees. They're tanks, but you don't have like the light, like the cannons and shit on them necessarily. It's cool. We do see the recognizer in this movie. It's pretty fucking big. It's a lot bigger than the one in Legacy. Different type of recognizer. All the same, still cool. I did like the drones. They're like little drones that fly around and create light paths to trap people. They're getting chased by those, and when Ares is trying to escape his grid with what's her name, Kim, because he doesn't want her to die. He recognizes that she's kind of a good person and is intrigued by her, and he wants the permanence code for himself because he wants to live. He can't quite put that into words, but he does want to live and experience life outside of a directive because he's a program, and he recognizes that his directive is not his purpose for existing. There's a purpose beyond just being directed by things. So eventually, they escape or whatever, and they go back up to NCOM because the code is backed up in an old server on Kevin Flynn's computer, the original computer, right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? So they're going to send them in there, and we're going to go to the old grid, right? And they did. So, oh, man, this was awesome. So Ares goes back to get sent into the grid on Kevin Flynn's old computer to find the permanence code, right? And it's the same fucking grid from the first movie, man. Not Not the fucking Tron Legacy grid, because that one got destroyed. Now, the Tron Legacy grid was an updated version of the original grid from the first movie. However, this is a backup on an old server of the like a file backup. Like you would back up a file, like you back up your photos to the cloud. He backed up the original grid to his own computer just in case, right? And that grid from the second movie is gone because it got blown up after Flynn and Clue fused back together, and it's on. Sam has it on that little disc around his neck we saw at the end of the movie. So again, we'll see what happens with that. If they do anything with that, I hope so. So he is on the old grid. It's even awesome. It's really awesome because he comes across a bit, and the movie looks like the original because you have like the old effects. Even the way that his skin is colored, it kind of has like that blue and grayish haze to it. Really awesome stuff. Again, pays homage to the first movie very much. Because it takes place there, and the bit is kind of like looking around. He's like, I'm trying to find something, and the bit looks at him. He's like, can you help me? And he's like, the bit kind of says yes. It doesn't say yes, but it makes like a noise that sounds like yes, and it creates like this like orange line on the ground, glowing line that floats up, and he walks up to it, and it converts into the old light cycles from the first movie. I'm just have a big smile on my face right now just talking about it. So even the CG kind of looks a little bit like the original movie. It's not like legacy CG. It's not even bad CG. It's just a modernized version of how the old graphics looked, right? They recreated the old graphics from the original movie. And he's riding through, following this bit, because he's on like the grid system where the light cycle battles took place in the first movie, right? Really awesome shit. And what happens is the bit kind of goes into like this wall, like it shines on this wall, and there's a crack in the wall, which is the same crack that was made in the first movie. And I was like, oh shit! So I had I pointed to it. I didn't stand up and point to it, but like I pointed my finger out, like, holy shit, I know what that is. I had a movie theater to myself, plus my mom and my brother, so I wasn't disturbing anybody when I did that. So don't get all shitty with me. So he's driving around. He eventually does find like this like little like light circle on the ground. Like he makes this area. He encounters this area that Kevin Flynn is in, and Kevin Flynn is kind of manifesting, but also like all the lines on the ground and everything are also manifesting. Right, really fucking cool sequence. And he meets Kevin Flynn. They're kind of having a conversation, right? And Kevin Flynn has the old school disc on his back. It's like a ring, like the one with a bunch of circles in it. It's not the one from Legacy that was like a ring, like just like a straight up ring. This one was like a frisbee with the rings on it. Really cool shit. He had like the all white suit. He had like this interesting looking triangle shape on his chest. And man, Jeff Bridges did a phenomenal job playing Kevin Flynn. He's always been a very captivating character whenever he talks. Because Kevin Flynn's a very philosophical character. He talks a lot, like, his older self. He talks a lot about, like, what has happened, his perception on things. And he has a very fatherly presence in this movie. He's not giving Ares orders, right? Ares is talking to him, trying to sort of think. Right? Ares is trying to think about what it is that he is feeling, right? He's kind of venting to Flynn because Flynn is, Flynn was seen as God to a lot of programs in the old grid, who had all the answers. He was an all-knowing user. And, he is a Flynn. Dillinger is not a Flynn, right? He doesn't really understand, like, Dillinger just... He treats programs like, every computer user treats programs, run this, do this, and that. And Kevin Flynn is very intrigued by the fact that Ares has thoughts and questions, and he's thinking beyond his directive, right? He's like, maybe I'm flawed. And Kevin's like, well, maybe that's not so bad. Maybe you're just doing something beyond what you're supposed to do, which is a good thing, right? He's devil's advocate, right? Man, I got a smile on my face thinking about this scene. It's a great scene, man. eventually Ken Flynn is like, you know, he's like, well, like there's a part where Ares kind of gets stuck in his own thoughts, right? He's like, I'm not really sure why I like this artist. Like they're talking about music. He's like, I like Mozart, but also like, this artist more because I like the way they combine pop and, aspects of like, pop and digital sounds with, acoustics and, it has more, and I think the word he was going to say was it has more life, right? But life is a concept that's kind of foreign to him because he's a program. And Kevin Flynn doesn't like try to fill in the blanks for him. He kind of just looks at him as like, more what? He's like thinking. He's trying to guide him through his thoughts, which I think, again, a very fatherly presence. Jeff Bridges is amazing in this movie. I thought Jared Leto did a great job in this movie, and I understand a lot of people aren't a big fan of Jared Leto's work, which I don't blame them for. He's been in some stinkers. But it was a great time, man, because after that, Kevin Flynn hands him like this DNA-looking thing and kind of puts it in this, in Ares' disc, right? Because Ares' disc, I guess he hands it to him at some point. We don't get to see this whole thing happen consecutively. We're going back and forth between this scene with Kevin Flynn and the real world because Athena has kind of gone rogue. Not rogue. She's following her directive because Dillinger was like, I need you to get her back by any means necessary, which is famous last words because now she manifests herself in real life because she ran out of time. What happened was she was at Encom Tower going to take down Ares or try to capture the girl. But what happened was she ran out of time. Again, 29-minute time limit. She was right. They blew up that whole office, damn near, and she's about to shoot her with the gun to send her back to the grid, to the Dillinger grid, so they can extract the code from her to kill her, basically. And the sprinklers go off, and Athena's looking at her hand, and she's like, it's a sensation she's not familiar with, feeling, right? Again, life. It's foreign to them. And she kind of hesitates to pull a trigger, and she runs out of time and disintegrates, leaving the gun there, because the gun is a real invention, so it doesn't get disintegrated either. Or de-rezzed, right? So that's kind of what happened. So she comes back, and she's manifesting, like, more shit for her to use. And what happens is, Dillinger's like, well, who authorized this? And she's like, you did. By any means necessary. And, Dillinger's mom is like, what the fuck, dude? You fucked us, right? Like, now we're fucked. I'm shutting this shit down. So she's going to go over to like, this big-ass button, I guess, to shut off the laser that's creating things in the transfer bay. And Athena kills her. A little dramatic, whatever, is what it is. But she creates the recognizer and all this shit that we see in the trailer that happens, right? Try to catch this girl. So later on in the movie, she, there's like jets trying to fight these guys. The cops are like, what the fuck's going on? While Kim's team, is trying to hack into the Dillinger server to shut it down because shutting down the server will essentially shut down all the programs that have manifested in reality, right? That's their game plan. We're trying to drop a payload, kind of like the one I dropped earlier in the movie, only this time we're going to do it to shut down Dillinger systems so we can fucking not get fucked, right? We're trying to not die. So we're going to, save the world or whatever, the city. So that way, this destruction stops and maybe we can, put a stop to this. So that's what happens. They're trying to hack through this at the same time that Kim almost gets captured. Ares shows up, tells her to leave. Very similar to how Tron told Flynn to go. He's like, go! Just same exact fucking way. She runs away. Ares is fighting these three guys. He's not getting his ass kicked. It's kind of like he's taking some hits here and there. It's not like the first movie where motherfuckers take hits and they're dead instantly. Like, he's getting hit by blunt objects, not like, the light razors or anything like that. So he's not getting de-rezzed. He does take out some guys. He has 2 discs at one point, very Tron-like, very Rinsler-like, very cool. And it's, Athena pulls out the staff. Oh no, what happens is he kills a guy with the staff. The staff gets split in half, and now it's Athena using her disc, along with Ares using his disc, each of them both having one half of that light staff. So it's really cool. Also, during this time, when Ares manifests back in the real world, he actually gets transferred back with the laser from the first and second movie. So he's back in the basement of Flynn's arcade, and he doesn't have any lights on, right? Now, later on, when he does meet up with Kim to save her, we see that his lights have now become blue. And he has that same triangle-like symbol that Kevin Flynn had on his chest, right? Really cool shit. They have a fight scene. There's a point in time here where, I think I said this earlier, during this fight between Athena and fucking Ares, you can tell Ares is not trying to kill her because, you know, that's like one of his boys or girls, right? He understands that if he can be free from his program, and so can she, right? And they're kind of having like a little bit of a conversation, right? This part has good writing because she's trying to figure out why he went against the directive, right? Her only sensation of something unknown was the feeling of the water touching her when the sprinklers went off. He didn't get to experience human emotion and empathy and things like that because she didn't have to go through Eve Kim's file the same way that Ares did to learn all these things, right? So her understanding is not the same as Ares' understanding of what's going on. So there's a bit of a disconnect there. She doesn't fully understood why this has happened. So eventually what happens is they're fighting. And there's a point where, I said this earlier, he's using one half of that staff to create these lights because they're deflecting each other's blows and shit like that. And with the light trail that's made. And there's a part where he's doing like a little bit of a flip, like a fucking Rinsler flip. And he creates like this step with the laser and jumps off of it. And that shit was fucking sick. Because I didn't even think about the possibility of them doing that shit. But it makes sense. So that was cool. What happens is eventually the server gets shut down because they drop a payload and knock it offline. And Dillinger's like, fuck, I'm fucked. Because the world has already seen, like there's people that have seen Dillinger's invention, right? He brought things into the real, he brought Ares into the real world to show them what he was, right? And he wasn't really like doing anything crazy. They brought the tank in real life to show them that they can use this for war. So people know about this. People know this is Dillinger's shit. All this crazy shit happened in the city. They know it's Dillinger. They know it's Julian Dillinger's doing. So the cops are pulling up to that transfer bay where things get manifested with the lasers, right? Now, when a server gets shut down, all like the stuff starts crashing down. Like they start shutting off and like crashing to the ground and blowing up. And Athena kind of falls down, and because she's about to get shut off too. She's running out of time because she's still on a timer. Fucking Ares no longer needs a timer because now he has the permanence code in him. So he's living permanently or impermanently because, you know, he just has a regular life now. Does he age? I think so because he has a beard a bigger beard at the end of the movie, which doesn't happen to motherfuckers that don't age. So we'll see. But Athena's like, why'd you go against your directive? She's like dying basically, and he's like, well, we have a purpose beyond like, what's your purpose? Not to have a directive. He's like, I guess we'll see, right? It's a very human response. His responses become a lot more human once he has the permanence code in him. And she dies. I guess the idea is because the server's offline, she can no longer be reconstructed in the grid. So she's actually dead, right? And everything, along with everything that got manifested. So the cops pull up the Dillingers. His mother's dead because she got stabbed by fucking Athena with her disc. And the last thing she says to him is, this is like, you did this, right? You fucked us. So the cops, he closes like the big ass like hangar doors, like these big ass thick metal doors like the first and second movie. That's a big door. and the cops are breaking in, and he's trying to fucking reprogram the lasers that are offline because they're trying to arrest his ass for all the shit he did to the city. And what happens is he's able to get the lasers online, and as the cops are breaking in, he lasers himself. He reverse transfers himself into the grid, into his grid that just got shut offline to escape the police because he knows he's fucked, right? So then the post-credit scene of this movie, or it's pre-credit. There's no post-credit scene. I stayed for the whole thing. The lights went on. Nothing happened. There is a pre-credit screen where Dillinger climbs to the top where Ares used to be, the master control area. And he's standing over the edge that Ares broke the ground in to leave, right? He's realizing he's in the grid. And what happens is, behind him, this thing kind of comes up with this disc. A disc that looks very similar to the discs from the first movie, with all the little rings in it, like the hypnotic looking one. And he looks at it, he's grabbing it, right? And right when he grabs it, it starts manifesting like a suit around him, right? Because he's now a user, right? And the suit looks like the fucking guys from the first movie. With like the little like soldier gear, right? When I say soldier, like with the V on their forehead, right? Because that was like Sark. He looks like Sark from the first movie, right? Fucking awesome shit. Because he's a user in the system, right? This shit was incredible. So they're setting it up for a sequel. I hope it gets one, man, because this movie really wasn't bad. So I want to go back. I think I covered everything I want to cover. I already talked about the discs. It seems like those old school retro discs with the circles in them are supposed to represent users. That's why Kevin Flynn had one. That's now why Julian Dillinger, who is now assuming the master control position within the grid, also has a disc that looks that way. So I guess master control programs have that triangle disc, and master control users now have the old school disc with the circles. I'm interested to see what happens at the end of the movie. I think I said this already too. We see that Jared Leto, or fucking Ares, has been exploring the world. He's interested in, he's just taking in what the world is, trying to understand humanity and life, right? Because he sends a postcard to Eve Kim. No romance between the two, at least not yet. Which I was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. The whole romance thing, I wasn't gonna be pissed. I was gonna be like, ugh, because it's something that movies just cannot seem to get away from the concept of main female protagonist falls in love with, abnormal male protagonist. Alien, Superman, or fucking TRON Ares, or fucking Ares, program. I was like, please don't do this bullshit. And they didn't do it, which was good. But Ares has a picture of Cora, who's a little bit older now. She looks different. With some coordinates on the top left, says last seen. So he drives off on a Ducati motorcycle, of course. And he's off into the sunset to presumably go look for her. And probably wherever she is, Sam Flynn is also at. So if they make a fourth movie, will we see those two characters return? That remains to be seen. But man, I thought it was a great movie, man. I had a good time. Like I said, I think I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Because it's not, again, not the best action movie I've ever seen. But, and you know what? If it had continued, like if this movie came back a year or two after the other one, right? And there was more connecting legacy to this movie, right? Like, in terms of cohesive storytelling, we set stuff up in legacy. If this had continued more of that, I think it would have been a 10 out of 10 movie, right? Maybe. That movie, whatever version of this movie that should have came out 10 years ago or so, 13 years ago, 15, we didn't get. We got the TRON Ares we got now is different from whatever TRON Ares was supposed to be back then, right? So I took it for what it was. And I thought it was a great movie. You know, I think IMDb gave it like a 6.7. Fair enough. I mean, it's a Jared Leto movie. People don't like it. 50% Rotten Tomatoes, 50% Metacritic, some shit like that. I want to say Legacy had similar ratings, so make of that what you will. I mean, at least it's as well received critically. Apparently, it's the #1 movie in the world. I don't know if that's true. I doubt it, because I mean, what else has come out? I mean, marketing wise, they've been marketing the fuck out of this movie, man. Good for them. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with these two angles, because now the angles going forward are what's going to happen with Ares finds Korra, if he does. What's she up to? What is the future of NCOM? Because their future, it seems like they were able to now manifest trees and things like that. They've been helping the world, kind of like how Kevin Flynn wanted to help the world with Korra and her perfected code, right? Maybe the permanence code was the ISOs, man. Maybe it was. Now that I think about it, maybe that's what made the ISOs so special, right? Besides the fact they were life forms, they had the permanence code in them by default, right? Maybe that's what it was. We'll have to see. It's not confirmed yet. We didn't get that writing in this movie, but I do know that that's one of the angles. The other angle is, what is Julian Dillinger gonna do now that he is the master control of the grid from inside the grid, the Dillinger systems grid? That remains to be seen. But anyway, that is my spoiler review for Tron Ares. 15 years, man. I waited 15 fucking years. It was, you know what? I had a great time. This movie didn't move me as much as Tron Legacy did, and I'm not going to fault the movie for that, because I was 9 years old when I saw Tron Legacy in IMAX, back when movies cost $10, you know, or whatever it was back then. Cheaper than now, that's for sure. Had a great fucking time with that one, man. I'm older now. I think I went in skeptical, and I think that kind of stopped me from being as, you know, blown away. But I'm walking, you know, I'm out of it now. I'm off the high. It's been a couple hours since I've seen it. It was good. It was good. I had a good time. I think it's worth spending, you know, I think it's worth watching. You know, again, depends on how much you're fucking paying. You're paying $30 for a ticket, brother. Ain't no movie worth $30 a ticket. If you're paying $5 Tuesday Marcus Theaters, $6 specials or whatever on Tuesdays, by all means, absolutely worth it. Even if you're paying regular ticket price, which in my opinion should be more than $12, I think it's worth paying to see in movie theaters. I mean, some movies are good in movie theaters. I saw it in 3D, had a great time. My brother liked it, my mom liked it. It don't mean shit to you. I liked it. If you don't want to wait, my fucking throat is dying. If you don't want to wait to watch it, if you want to wait to watch this movie, I think it's on Disney Plus. You can probably watch this shit right now. Oh no, sorry, you gotta wait a little bit. Obviously, when that comes out to streaming, probably in a couple months. That's usually how it goes. But the next one, I do know that we were supposed to get a Tron Ascension. Tron Ascension was the sequel to Tron Legacy that we never got. We never got it. But Edward Dillinger Jr. was Cillian Murphy's character. And he's not in this movie. I wonder what the fuck he's doing. So, yeah, I mean, he doesn't do cameo appearances. He likes being, you know, a fucking full-on character. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for the series, and, you know, if we will see those legacy characters again, literally legacy characters. I don't like when movies hang too much on that, but this movie, if they are relevant to the story and they can write them in a way that makes sense for them to be there, go for it. I mean, they've already set it up. They gotta deliver. But yeah, that's my Tron Ares. Again, I'm gonna close the fuck out of here. I've been talking for fucking 50 minutes about this movie. Too damn long. But anyway, if you enjoyed this review, I appreciate it. Like and subscribe. I'm hoping to start uploading more in the future. It's been busy. You know, I just graduated college. Been an athlete for the last 4 years. I have been all over the place since my last video I posted, which I think it was a Destiny video from like 2020 or some shit. Not really doing much of that anymore. I think it'll be more just conversation stuff right here and there. Interesting topics. Maybe wrestling stuff. Who knows? Big into wrestling now. I mean, I'm getting into that, so we'll see. But yeah, great movie. Thumbs up from me. You know, if you want to watch it in theaters, go for it. I'm not going to say go out of your way to watch it. I definitely recommend you do watch it, though. If you do want to watch it in streaming, by all means, go ahead, do what you want. That's all from me. You take care of yourself. You take care of each other. I'll probably see you in the future. I got some things I got planned, and maybe I'll make them work out. But anyway, goodbye.